welcome. Hey, is that a new background you've got there, Angela?
New office.
New office.
Yeah,
Oh.
we're in another office. See that window? Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, yep.
Isn't it?
We're doing pretty well now. We're putting
I love
putting new
the logo.
stuff
I
up
love
with
the logo
Invictus
on it.
Legal now.
Yeah, I love the logo on it.
Yep. So
And
I'm
you know,
meeting in kind of like a library, and this is our one room that we have.
hmm,
That's kind of nice. And then I have my own office, which has, of course, my books.
do you love the seating arrangement they've got there?
Yeah, interesting.
Gives me more time to sit and ponder the law.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's where you can sit and ponder the law and not and get some billable work done, Peter.
Okay, so welcome everybody. I hope you love our new backgrounds. Yeah, we just did a bit of playing with the backgrounds and embedded our logo into some stuff. All right, everybody. So welcome. This is episode 82, September the 9th, 2025, with Angela Browne and myself, Peter Giblett.
Yep.
All right, we're Invictus Legal Partners, and just enjoy the day. We've got some information for you of a general nature. So, if you need to contact me or Angela, you can do so on 905 688 5598. Email Angela at weareinvictus.legal, or myself, Peter, whose name is Peter at weareinvictus.legal, and the website is weareinvictus.legal. There we go. And the question of the day is, why do I have to pay for a consultation? Seems to be a lot of people coming up more recently, Angela, that have been questioning the whole thing about a free consultation. Surely you give a free consultation. You just had a free consultation with that 20-minute phone call that you just had,
Yes, exactly.
right? When
And the
I'm very,
thing is,
yeah,
see, one of the things is when you talk to professionals is that to keep asking for free consultations with professionals, yes, they would talk to you a little bit about their services and what they're able to do for you, but you're not going to get um, enough information to really decide whether you have a legal issue or if you need to go forward with it or not.
yeah. Well,
Because there's a lot of firms out there that said, oh, every consultation is free. We give you a free consultation. You know what? These firms don't value their time.
yeah. Well,
So if they don't value their own time, why should you?
yeah, it's interesting because here's the thing. So I called up the plumber. I called up the plumber the other week, as you well know, and I called him up and I said, "Hey, Mister Plumber, I use the same one all the time, right? I use the same one all the time. He knows me. He picks up the phone. He says, "Yes, Mister Giblett, I can come help you. It'll cost you." And he gave me a quote for 2 hours worth of work, and I said, "Yep, I'll see you. I'll see your gentleman in the morning." And it's always the same guy. In every time we got a policy.
Yeah.
Probably spent a few
Yeah.
thousand quid with that dollars with that firm over the years. But the point being is he gives us on the spot. He'll come in and he'll assess the work and he says that'll cost you this much money. Fine, okay, um, no problem.
Hmm.
Gets on with the job and we pay it. All right,
Yep.
it's the way it works. So it's the same really with legal. You're coming in, you're doing a consultation, except job that we do as legal people takes a little bit longer than 5 minutes to 2 hours to
Yep.
fix, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Um,
And these things, like all we have to serve is our time and our expertise.
yeah, yeah,
It's not like we have something on the wall that you can look at and then you can, oh, I like this one or I like that one or it's it's where you have like more and more firms, law firms and paralegal firms are are starting to charge for consultations. Not a whole lot,
yeah,
okay? Because you don't want to overly charge for a consultation, but you want to charge enough so that you're getting serious people involved.
well,
Like what I do, what my practice is, if somebody comes in and says, okay, I want to have a consultation with your firm, we'll charge a certain amount for our firm. and they'll come in and meet with us. And if they pay the consultation, and then later on they call me and says, I want to retain you. So I take the consultation fee and actually put it towards their retainer. So that person isn't losing anything. It's not like they're paying for both a consultation and a retainer.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're actually only paying for the retainer. But for those that pay for the consultation and then go somewhere else, that's fine. But it's just that we want to keep our time so that we're working with people who are serious, who really need to have something looked at. And during your consultation, it's just that we want to be able to give you something other than sell our services.
Yeah.
I've known that what happens with a lot of paralegals and law firms that do give free consultations, they might listen to you and say, yeah, you have a case, and this is what we can do for you, and this is how much it'll cost. And that's basically what they do. Okay. So it's not like they're going to say, hey, you have a case, you've got nothing to worry about. And then sometimes what we will do afterwards is says, okay, you got 2 years limitation period. This is what you need to do. Right? Or we'll talk to you about it. And then you say, okay, how much will it cost you to retain? So we give them what we will do to retain. And this is what we do. Like some people who insist on having free consultations, they will go here, then they'll go to the next firm on the telephone book, then they go to the next firm after that, the next firm after that, and who will give a free consultation until they can figure out how to do it themselves.
Yeah. And the important point is, well, actually, if I'm going to be the guy who's going to figure it out for myself, quite apart from the fact that I've got...
I always say, well, if you can figure it out for yourself, then why are you coming here? Why are you calling me?
It's exactly what I was just about to say. Aside from the fact that I have a legal education both here in Canada and back in the UK, if I was looking for advice, I wouldn't be going to a law firm and saying, "Hey, can you help? I'm wondering what my rights are with X, and etc." And I'd be figuring it out for myself because I know where to look, right?
Yeah.
And we've had, let's face it, we have a few people in here that we've done some work for that are doing cases for themselves, superior court cases for themselves, where they've come in and they've just sought a little bit of advice on something, or they're doing
like case law research or different things like that,
or some what do you call it? Or some affidavits that they're writing.
Yeah, commission affidavits or help them serve documents or a few things we've done, So we've done a few things, like this is the kind of thing we do, but that's very different than a consultation.
Yeah.
Okay? They would sit down with us and we'd work with them on whatever it is, that they're doing a commission or a notary or if they want to put something towards the service of a document or something. There's been a number of things that we've been able to help them focus on. Case law research is always something I've been interested in, and we've helped a lot of people with case law research and to help them understand it, because individuals, they think they can go on CanLII and figure it out and oh, now I know what the case law is. No, not necessarily. Because case law does not necessarily reflect what the facts of a case are, but what the legal questions are. And the tests that are given out by the courts, and then you have to see how your case matches up. So there's a lot of different things that people in our profession do. Like I've done both consultations for free and consultations on a paid basis with lawyers, and a couple of times with other paralegals. And with those that I've had done for free, they basically sit down with me and they kind of say, okay, what is it? And I might spend a half an hour with them. And they would tell me basically, you have a case or you don't. And this is the process that usually you go through, and it's going to cost about this much if you're going to look for us. And for those that are paid, I actually got a little bit more information. Not how to do it myself, but they've given information, for example, of what my rights actually are, how much I can go further if I needed to, what kinds of avenues, like that type of thing. And we charge for a 30-minute consultation, 113. Sometimes if it's a bit more than that, we you go up.
Well,
Okay, but 113 is our standard.
if you're coming in with a box this big full of documents, we're going to
Yeah,
charge you a bit more, right?
yeah, we'll charge you like equivalently because like for each piece of paper, there's a few bucks. but but for the things is we don't we try to be reasonable because $113 is different than our fees. It's usually about half our fees, that we would charge you to even sit down for even that long or to even write a letter. So these are things that we try to do it so that people can have at least acknowledge, and it's an opportunity for you to test to see if we're the type of firm that you would like to work with, what our work product is, what our work activity is like, and our strategy or advocacy strategy is. Okay? I mean, some people like our strategy, and some people may prefer to go elsewhere. Maybe for somebody who may be a lot more aggressive, perhaps say, but aggression, I finding it doesn't work a lot in court.
And actually, that's a fair point that you just raised there, Angela. If somebody comes in the door, we may have the right answers for them, but let's word it in a way, word it in a non-confrontational way. We don't answer it quite in the way they'd hoped. So
Yep.
they go somewhere else and they say, "Thank you very much. I learned a great deal, but I don't think you're the right firm for me."
Yep.
And hey, in that situation, a paid consultation is fine because that means that they've respected our time as as professionals. We've offered some advice, and they move on to somebody else who may be more suited to their
maybe more suited to their area of law or whatever they're looking for.
Yeah. Well, you don't know. Nobody, and doesn't matter if you're the best salesman in the world who you think you can sell. You could think you can sell ice to the Inuit or sand to the Arabs. You might be able to, but you've got to do it in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think I'm pretty good at selling, but I don't sell. There are certain people that I know I get a feeling for right away where I say, it's probably going to be hard for me to sell to this person.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people like they come in and says, well, I don't think I should have to pay for a consultation. And I said, well, you go to the dentist, you have a toothache. You're going to go in and the dentist will look at it. And there's going to be a fee to have that checkup.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if it may not be a lot, but they're going to have a fee because you're taking that organization's time, by giving you a dentist to look at it. And even if you have an estimator, I've actually had to pay people to come down and do certain types of estimates for my home. Not a lot of money, but a certain amount. But
that's a good example there, the dentist one, right? Because obviously, very often you go to a dentist, you're going to spend more than $113, including HST,
oh,
to
yes.
have him inspect your teeth, right?
When was your last dental bill? How much was that?
About 175, and that was, we're talking a little while ago,
Yep, exactly. I know how much they charge.
Yeah, and 175 easily for the simple visit.
Yeah, just for an examination of your tooth.
Yeah.
And then they can tell you that this is overgrown or this tooth has to be pulled. And then you decide that you're going to let the dentist pull your teeth. And then there's another fee for him doing that.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, these things, when you're dealing with a professional, the professional has spent time going to school, learning their trade or profession, and practicing in terms of things. And you're going to them because they have some kind of expertise or knowledge that you're trying to find. It's not just paralegals and lawyers. There's other people out there too. I've been to chiropractors. I've been to different people. Sometimes they would have a special where you, if you sign up like for a certain amount of time for chiropractic treatment, they would give you somewhat reduced costs for their visits. And I've done that. Okay. And they were pretty good with that. But to go there and get free chiropractic services, no. I was just looking on the internet about somebody who was putting out free chiropractic advice for people who have difficulty sleeping and wake up with sciatic nerve. And they were advertising $45 for what is usually a $211 visit. So it's $45 for their initial assessment and
Yeah,
to
but
talk to you.
that's a very specialist piece of
Very specialist.
one thing and one thing only, and there's an assumption that you know what you need, and
Yeah.
they're able to provide precisely that, right?
Yep. And then they will tell you. And then if you agree to go with that, they will probably put you for another 6 months or 6 weeks or whatever for chiropractic treatment. And it'll be based on maybe a 20% reduction rate. And then after that, then you pay regular rate,
Yeah.
depending on what kind of coverages you have. Okay. But this is where you go with it in any profession. Okay. I'd like, there's a lot of people who say, well, how come paralegals and lawyers don't do more pro bono? I said, okay, do you go to your employer and say, okay, I'm going to work for free for you for the next 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Can you afford that?
Yeah.
And do you think your employer, I guess your employer might like that, but I don't know if you would like that because most of us have to eat and pay for a roof over our head.
Let's put it this way: if you work in a car factory, in a car plant, right, your employer might like that, but your union won't.
Yeah, the union's going to throw a fit. Right? So, I mean, these things where you have to kind of look at it. And yeah, I mean, people look at our fees and they say, well, your fees are high. Fees are done according to the market and also according to our specialty and our time and our focus.
Yeah.
Okay? And some individuals who have specific cases, sometimes we may decide on a yearly basis how much we're going to reduce our fees by for certain individual groups. But we don't do this on a routine basis.
All right.
It's not like you can just call us up and say, can I be in the pro bono group? No, you can't.
Okay. So let's look at your moment for about a free consultation. Essentially, a free consultation is really an opportunity to review the options only. There's no advice given. There's no engagement necessarily.
Yeah, we don't provide legal services during our consultation.
Yeah.
Even the paid ones.
Yeah.
When you provide legal services, your agreement to legal services has to follow through with a retainer for our services.
Yeah.
Okay. But we do provide you some information and some options about where to go. A free legal consultation, sometimes what I would do is I would say, okay, it sounds like you have a case, but this is what it might take for you to resolve the issue, and this is how much it might cost. Okay? But you have to be understanding that these are not things that we can just pull out of the air. Okay? Like there's people who go down and says how much it'll cost for this. Can you cut the price down for that? There's people out there who just want to have the lowest fee possible, but that's not always going to get you the best service.
Yeah.
There are new people out there, new lawyers, new paralegals who may try to put out something and say, okay, 20% off all traffic tickets this week or whatever. That's fine. Some people want to do that to be able to get some more people in the door. But the thing is, you also have to think maybe these people are not necessarily experienced at doing this. If you got a complicated matter, you want to make sure you seek somebody who has experience.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing about a free consultation is that, for example, the Law Society has a referral service.
Yeah.
If you part of the referral service, you will get a free consultation. But typically, what that means is that you will come to whatever law firm you're going to, and they will give you 10 minutes to say what you need, what your issue is. They'll give you a 15-minute sales pitch and be saying to you, okay, so what are you going to be doing next, right?
Yeah.
At that point, they're expecting you to be saying, well, I'm going to be signing a retainer with you.
Yeah, and sometimes they have. Like I've been on the Law Society referral service before, And that's okay, but I would do the half-hour consultation with them, but it's done in a different way. The Law Society does not want you to provide legal services during that time. They do not want you to review documents during that time. They just want you to have a conversation, a discussion.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is done where we give them something to sign first, so that they understand that this is a consultation only, that this is not free legal advice, that this is not legal advice, and that just because they attended a consultation doesn't mean that they retained us.
Yeah.
Okay? So it can get very complicated because say if you come in my door and then you get one of those 30-minute consultations or even a paid consultation, which was not followed up by a retainer. And then you say, oh, I've got Angela Browne and Peter Giblett and Invictus Law Firm. I've consulted with them. They're going to defend me. No, that's why you have these types of agreements in place. And I'm addressing this to especially new paralegals, new lawyers. You want to make sure that it's written down that these people are coming in to have a chat with you about a potential case, about a potential matter. And you have to check with for conflict of interest, okay? And you also owe them confidentiality. So
Yeah.
even though it might be a free or a paid consultation, you still owe them confidentiality, and you also owe them to be free of conflict of interest.
Yeah. Okay, so that's an important point that's not really been part of this. The whole conflict of interest is slightly different because, in fact, actually, you could come for any form of consultation. The first thing you do is sit down and you pull out a document and you say, "Hey, I'm suing," and you look at the name on the document. You say, "Ah, okay, I had a problem. I can't help you
Yeah,
because that's my biggest customer you're suing."
yeah.
Right?
It happens. I had a call yesterday from a very nice young chap. I had a chat with him, and he was going on into his situation and so forth. And then he mentioned the name of the other party. And I said, hold on there. Right? And he said, well, what? And I said, I can't talk with you any further. Okay? And he goes, why? Why? And he says, that would be a conflict. I'm conflicted out of this. He said, can anybody else in your firm do it? Probably not, because this party was worked with at least 3 people in our firm.
Yeah.
So we can't really remove ourselves from that conflict.
Yeah.
So that type of thing happens. Right? And although I would have liked to help this guy because he had a legitimate question and would probably be resolved within a few letters, right? But it's not something that we could handle because of the
Trouble is,
conflict.
the trouble is now you're actually on the other side. You're likely to be the recipient of said
Oh,
letter.
yeah, they might show up at my doorstep and say, oh, this person is trying to sue me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it happens. And this is why we have to be extremely careful. I mean, there's a lot of people who think that, well, how come I can't just get my questions answered? Or they call us up and say, can I ask you a question? Okay, like they're calling out of the blue.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't even leave their name. They don't want to leave their name. And I said, I need to have your name, you know, and they don't seem to understand that why we have to have their name. Even if I'm talking to you on the phone, I also need to know the other side's name. Okay.
Yep.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
not gonna I'm not gonna get into a situation where 6 months from now the other side calls me and says they want to sue you.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about what's involved in a consultation first of all. So first of all, I think the first and most important thing to understand, there's about 4 or 5 stages here, and the first stage is we are going to listen to your issue, right? What is it? What is it that what has gone wrong? What is your problem? Why are you coming to us? And it's important that you have your opportunity to talk. Next stage is that we will look and review your documents. Typically, we will take a photocopy of your documents so that, for example, you've just got a traffic ticket. So it's fine. We can help you. You've, it contains all of the charges that have been alleged to have happened by you. We can help, right? That's something we can help with, right? Or your landlord's, giving you a document, they want you out of the unit, right? Yes, again, we might well be able to help you, right?
So we look at that, and we listen to your story, then we look at the documents. Your story should be how documents came.
Yeah.
Okay. And then did anything else ever happen? And then what we do afterwards is we ask you some questions. You may want to ask some specific questions. Okay. I said, are you, like, say if it's the landlord and tenant issue, are you behind in rent?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, are you being accused of something here? Like it says that you're accused of causing a lot of noise at 3 o'clock in the morning. He says, why would they do that? Hey, is there another side to this story that you want to share with me? So things like that, I will talk to people about, to hear different sides of it. Hey, and it turns out sometimes it was not the tenant that made the noise. Maybe somebody next door to the tenant made the noise, but somebody upstairs thought it was the tenant. So there's a lot of things that can go, with asking, right? So we ask, and then we talk to them about, that if this gets to the board, this is what can happen, okay? And how confident do you feel about having a case going to the board on this?
And again, if it was a traffic ticket, and it's say that you've got a couple of sections that you're supposed to have contravened, we might ask them some details about what exactly happened. How fast were you going?
How fast were you going?
Yeah.
Where were you when that happened?
Yeah.
We would sometimes go out there to see if there's any signs, because there's some parts of Niagara region where you have a sign saying you go 100 kilometers an hour, then all of a sudden the speed limit's 60. So we have to make sure, we have to know where you went.
There's one on the edge of Niagara Falls, or at least there used to be. I think they've changed it recently. What used to say, the first sign would say 60 kilometers an hour, right? And then 100 meters later, there's a sign that says, in Niagara Falls, all residential speed limits are 50 kilometers an hour unless otherwise signposted. And of course, what were you on? You're on a road that is a 60 kilometer an hour signposted road. The other sign is not relevant to traveling on this road. The speed limit on this road is 60 kilometer an hour.
Yeah. And this is sometimes what happens when you go for a speeding ticket fight.
Yeah.
So these are things that we need to know. Where were you stopped?
Yeah.
Hey, where were you traveling? Hey, when the police signaled you to slow down and stop. Hey. So these are things that we would ask, and this is the kind of thing we do, and gets people kind of thinking, like, why did this happen? It's just, can you do something about it? The thing is, we cannot provide guarantees. There's a lot of people saying, do I have a case? Will I get off on this case? Will I be able to get out? What happens if the police officer doesn't show up? Things like that. We get asked a lot of questions.
It's a valid question.
Yeah, but the thing is, these kinds of questions, we cannot guarantee anything.
Yeah.
Right? But if you do retain us, after you choose to retain us, if you think that we may be able to work with you, and you do retain us, then we start working on these questions, and we start digging deeper. We start digging deeper into the background of what your charges are. We obtain your disclosure. We obtain your data, the witnesses. We obtain any of your witnesses. And we talking about different things. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be cleared up. Okay? Same as like if there's a small claims case. I happen to specialize in employment and human rights. Okay? So people come to me about those types of cases, and I could look at something and I can tell right away whether there is a potential for a case. And we talk about it, and I ask them a number of questions, because there's a number of things that can totally change your ability to obtain compensation. with respect to an employment case. So these things could be relatively complicated, but these are things we do, and we advise them.
Yeah.
And there's times when I had one woman. I remember one time she brought in an agreement she signed and was with her union. She was in a union, and she had some kind of thing when she was terminated, and she was not happy with the termination pay that she was paid. And I talked to her about when you sign something, basically you're done. You can't sign things, and then expect to take it further into a court or human rights tribunal or anything. So I talked to her and explained to her what happened and so forth. And she realized that she didn't have a case, and that if she tried to proceed even on her own, which she was thinking of, that it was likely to result in some problems, and costs. And because of her appreciation, she says, "How much do I owe you?" And she paid me.
Yeah.
We're saving a lot of people a lot of money
And
by many
actually,
times telling them they don't have a case.
yeah, and in fact, actually, that's the point. We're providing a guide to legal options. And sometimes that legal option may well be as simple as write a letter to the other side. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was offending you,
Yeah,
type
yeah,
thing. Fix the problem and move on,
yeah,
right? Other times that those legal options go up to, hey, we're doing a lawsuit.
yeah. We escalate it. There's
Yeah,
different things we escalate it at different rates. We'll escalate it.
yeah,
Sometimes my client would come in and says, "I want you to escalate it immediately,"
yeah,
because that client has done every which way to try to resolve it with the party concerned. I might sometimes do one last final letter to see, because sometimes a legal letter might get them interested in resolving. People get interested when they get letters from paralegals and lawyers.
yeah. But sometimes people ignore letters from
Oh
lawyers.
yeah, sometimes they ignore it and they put it in their drawer somewhere, and then 3 months later they get a lawsuit and they say, "Oh my God, they were serious."
Yeah,
Right. So these are things that do happen, and why it's particularly sensitive to look at. It's where we provide guidance to your legal options, and we try to discuss with you. There's various options, including litigation. Sometimes options will work without litigation, and our litigation options have built in it so that there are options to settle it without litigation.
yeah.
So these are things that people need to know about. Every single tribunal and court, they all have different processes and rules of procedures where people are would be processed to try to settle these things, because courts don't need to be filled up 100% of the time with nonsense going on for 10 years. We want to try to do things like, but yet what happens now, we get people who are sensible and they try to settle these cases, and they do. But you know what? The cases that where people are most stubborn, they're the ones that end up in court.
Okay. So one of the things that we've just discovered here, we've just talked about what happens, the options, and what happens, and at the end of the day, once we've gone through all these four options, we'll be looking at giving you some legal options, what options you can do. So that was completely different to free, wasn't it?
Yes, very different to free,
Yeah, because a free
because
consultation, a free,
people who go out and get free advice, if they're giving you free advice, they're not valuing their time.
yeah,
So if they're not valuing their time, why should you?
yeah. And in fact, actually, pretty well, if I'm going to, unless I'm talking to somebody, if I'm talking to
If I'm
somebody on the
talking to
phone,
George or something, who's a good friend of mine, who's a lawyer that I've known for 20 years, I'll give him a call and he might tell me for 10 minutes, and give me some quick advice on something.
yeah,
But that's different. That's a different situation. But if you call a law firm out of the blue that you don't know anybody at, hey, it's very different to do that. There are some exceptions. As I said, there's the Law Society referral service. Sometimes, if somebody has been referred to me by a lawyer or a paralegal who's already been to a consult and who needs to get more specialized information, yes, we'll do that too as a favor.
But that's a lot more focused, because when we're dealing with that type of thing, what often happens is that, hey, I went to Joey Jones, who knows Angela, and Joey's looked at all my documentation because he received them all, and he passes them on to you now. And
Mhm.
now I'm doing a consultation with yourself. So yes, you've had an opportunity to read all those documents, and probably you had a 10-minute conversation with Joey about the value of
Yeah,
my
and I'll say, this is something here, and I might have some additional questions for you and so forth. And then if you have wish to retain me, then you can, you know.
Yeah.
So this is a very different feel. And then there's some cases like if you're on ODSP or something like that, sometimes we will do that as
It
like
depends.
if you're trying to get on ODSP, for example, and you come in and do that. That's one of the rare exceptions we do that because of I don't know why, because some people send them to me and we do that work. But but for most cases, hey, we try to work that in so that people can understand the reasons why that some a lot of, especially among the more busier firms, like ours is a fairly busy firm. Hey, we're always seeing clients, we're always busy, we're always on the phone, we're constantly trying to deal with different issues, and I think we don't have enough hands sometimes, but we
Yeah.
have to get some more. But this is the type of thing, when you have busy firms, they would expect you to value their time because their time is given to you because
Yeah.
we're preserving that space for you to come in and talk to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Whereas alternatively, I can just spend another half hour or an hour working on a case in which I'm getting paid for.
yeah.
So this is a very, this is why you really have to make some choices.
Yeah.
But it
But
gives you the opportunity on a paid consultation, and this is always a reasonable fee. I've talked to many of my peers. I have a peer that charges 450 sometimes for a consultation, and
wow.
another one who charges 285 for a
Yeah.
consultation.
Yeah.
Okay? And only a few of them I know actually do free consultations.
In fact, actually, one of the things that we've been talking around with a number of different people, and that whole conversation about how much people are charging for consultations is, realistically, what we're charged, the 113 that we charge for the half hour, is being seen by a lot of people as being quite low.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And I've talked to one guy, he says minimum 450.
Yeah,
He spends an hour and a half with them, and he goes through their documents and he gives them a legal opinion. Okay? But he does not do anything further. Okay? If they want to retain him, then they can retain him for anything above that.
yeah.
Okay? So like in the future, we may change some of our fees. We may charge more in the future,
Well,
or we may have some reason to. And I know another case where there's free consultations is personal injury work or contingency work.
yeah,
That's
but
another
that's
area where there's a lot
because
of free consultations
yeah,
because if you retain these people who are doing free injury, they need to assess your case about whether they're going to get paid.
yeah.
Okay. So if they got a good case, if you got a good case to bring to them, then they'll be okay giving you a free consultation, and then they will just go
That's a
after them and they take 30%.
that's a whole different ball game, though,
Yeah, it's
Andy.
a very, very different type of arrangement,
Yeah,
very different area of law than I practice.
yeah, exactly. Because those sorts of people, there is very definitely a situation whereby, um, you know, you're out in there. Well, you know, it all there's a lot of difference because with those contingency based cases, um, the whole relationship is entirely different.
Yeah, right.
That's what I
There's
was
a
trying to.
very different, and they evaluate you,
Yeah,
and they go through your work and so forth, and they decide, and they know. You know, they're very familiar with their work because they're very specialized in personal injury, motor vehicle accidents, workplace accidents, long-term disability cases, things like that. They're the ones that take things. They'll say, okay, I mean, I've had this type of case before. They almost always settle. Or I've dealt with this insurance company before. They're kind of tough. Hey, they got a pit bull as a lawyer, you know. So they're very familiar with how they do this work.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing to note is that a consultation is an investment in your case, right? You have a specific legal issue, and the reason you're doing a consultation is because you're investing your time, you're investing in somebody else's time to actually look at your case and assess your case. And the answer may well be you do not have a case.
Yeah.
Right?
And some people were so glad for me to tell them they don't have a case because they were ready to go out and file a case and go fight it themselves.
Yeah.
Hey, but they just wanted to get my opinion first before they went ahead. And I looked at this and I said, no, and I explained to them why they don't have a case. And I always follow it up in writing for them. Hey, and they tell me, oh my God, and they pay me. And I've got paid well more than my consultation fee for it.
Yeah.
They were very thankful that they did not have to go there, possibly risk costs being assessed against them, and have all of this time stuck in a litigation process that wasn't going to gain them anything.
And that actually could be something that people don't consider. Assessment of costs against you. Let's say that you're going in there and you're saying, hey, I've got a case, and you assess it as they owe me $15,000. And let's say that you go through and there's an offer out there for $700. We'll pay you $700, and you reject it, right?
Mhm.
And later on, the judge awards you $750. Well, hey, how stupid do you feel right now?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly. I've had people, and then to do things. He says, well, oh, they're trying to offer to settle. Like you sued for 30,000, they're trying to offer to settle for $10,000. They bring it in. Then I look at the whole case and I said, take the $10,000 and walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if they try to go back and ask for more, particularly if this is done formally under an offer to settle, then there could be an issue
Mm-hmm.
with costs.
Yep. All right. So is there anything else that you would look to put up about consultations?
Well, we're always available for them. You know, we do a number of things. You know, people call us regularly for consultations. We have about 5 to 10 of them a week, right, with people, most of them paid, and a couple of them not paid. But as I said many times, they fall into those exceptions I talked about earlier. And we deal with a lot of issues, or sometimes if the person is an existing client or we've done work for them before they come in, and sometimes I'll give them an initial consultation fee for free, who is an existing client,
Yeah.
okay, for a new matter, okay. So there's a lot of different things we work on, but you have to be consistent. So if you're a practitioner, a lot of new practitioners out there say, oh, I just want to offer free consultations to everybody. I want to have people come through my door. I mean, that might be okay. You know, you might feel good doing that, but they're not necessarily going to retain you, and they're also not necessarily going to respect your time.
And again, hey, it's like if you're a new practitioner and you want to specialize in provincial offences cases, traffic tickets, and you're saying, hey, the first 100 people come through the door are going to get it half price.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
That's a lot of things what new people could do.
Yeah.
Hey,
Great.
like I've met a couple. One of them wanted to ask me about that, and she wants to do tickets, provincial offenses. So I told them, I said, so instead of charging them $500 or whatever you usually charge them four or $350 or something, hey, for the first so many cases, hey, and just give me a call. It says I will help you, hey. Hey, I'm looking at speeding tickets, or I'm looking at drive suspend, or whatever it is that you're looking at. Hey, have people come in and they'll talk to you. So that type of thing is a way for new paralegals, if they want to get into a new area of practice, or if they want to get into a practice that specializes in a particular way. Same as lawyers for certain things. Incorporations, $500 all in, things like that. Or wills, $500 for couples all in, So things they can do to advertise, to get people to their door.
Yeah, and there are certain things that you can do that are quite cheap, and there are certain things that you can do that take a lot of time. But
Yeah.
also it's a good marketing ploy for somebody who's new in
Mm-hmm.
the field to actually be saying, "Well, I can do X at
Yeah.
at a low cost."
Yeah, like I'm comfortable. Say you're comfortable as a lawyer, new lawyer doing wills, right? And you've excelled in the wills and estates courses, and you're coming out and under articling, you've done some wills and estates, and you're going into your own practice and you want to start doing that type of thing. So you said, okay, I can do this. You probably have a lot of precedents, and you probably have a wills and estate program that you can rely on. So just get the information for the client, put it together, and you have it.
Yep.
So this is something that works very well for a lot of new practitioners. We have tons of precedents for certain types of things that we do, and then there's other things that we don't really have precedents for because they're unusual or specialized cases, that we have to deal with, because there's always people who come in our door who are the oddballs that we have a strange case that we have to do a lot of case law research for.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of thing. So that's probably the best way to do it, by marketing it that way to get people in, and that way you could still make a good amount of money and get some people in your door so they get to know you, and then after they finish their traffic case with you, then if you're doing something else, landlord tenant or something, and they have that case, they might be wanted to come back to you.
Yeah. All right. We've been talking there really about marketing for new paralegals and lawyers. But
Yeah.
anyway, so let's finish that off. So if you need to contact Invictus Legal LLP, you can do so at 905-688-5598, or you can call Angela at you can email Angela. Her email address is angela@weareinvictus.legal, or my email address is peter@weareinvictus.legal. And weareinvictus.legal is our website. And to finish off.
Yep. And what you heard today, it's been legal, or this show or others in this series, like it's directed at the public as well as other practitioners. It is not legal advice, but if you really need legal advice, then you need to contact a paralegal or a lawyer.
Yep. All right. And next week, we're going to be talking about eligibility for ODSP.
Yep.
Okay.
What you have to do to apply for ODSP, why many people get denied,
Yep.
what you need to do to help ensure that you get it.
And things like mental disability.
Yeah.
All right. All important pieces of information that may or may not help you if you're making a claim.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we've helped a lot of people. I've helped hundreds, a couple of hundred people with ODSP.
All right. And have a great day, and don't get yourself into trouble. But if you do, you know where we are, and you know where contact a lawyer or paralegal in Ontario who may well be able to help you. All right.
Who knows?
All right. See you.